I used the Blue Book. I had chapter 13, pages 228, 229, and 230. My pages were on sufficient evidence, insufficient evidence, random sampling, self-selected sampling, margin of error, and vividness effect. I'm going to start with sufficient evidence, which is making a claim and being able to support the claim you make. So using like facts, statistics, things are proven, so it's reliable evidence. Insufficient evidence is unreliable evidence, basically just making a claim but having absolutely nothing to back it up. So many case studies, facts, and statistics can be used as reliable and sufficient evidence. Like someone could say, and apples are bad for you, but that would be insufficient evidence because they have nothing to back it up, no facts, no statistics, but there are a bunch of case studies and facts and statistics proving that apples are good for you, which would make it sufficient evidence. Random sampling is a portion of the target population, the set of the individuals of interest chosen in such a manner that every member of the entire population has an equal chance of being selected, which was the definition from the book, which is basically means that everybody was selected the same way and all had an equal chance of being selected. Self-selected sampling attracts the most committed, aroused, or motivated individuals to fill out surveys on their own and answering polling questions on their own. So it's a little bit more biased because they get to pick if they want to participate or not. The examples used in the book were like magazine ads, like this one here. You can fill out to figure out which soap is best for you or suits you best. Or also the example used in the book is like calling a 1-800 number to answer random questions. You could also like get a flyer in the mail, and if you want to, fill it out and send it back. It's completely a choice, which is what makes it biased. It also matters like who sends out the survey is gonna determine who fills the survey out and sends it back in, because not everybody wants to fill out all the surveys. Like it's gonna be biased as to who wants to fill it out. Self-selected samples are insufficient to support general claims. The population is narrow and biased, and increasing number of respondents to self-selected surveys does not improve the results because it's still biased. A single study proves very little and is insufficient to draw any general conclusions. And to make a study sufficient, it has to have numerous people run the study, and it has to be done multiple times to prove that it is sufficient and reliable. The margin of error is a measure of the degree of the sampling error accounted for by imperfections in sample selection. It goes up as the number of surveyed people goes down. Margin error only applies to random sampling and not to self-selected sampling because self-selected sampling is biased. A sufficient study will have an error margin no larger than 3 to 4%. And lastly, vividness effect is an outrageous, shocking, controversial, and dramatic event that distorts the perception of our facts. Vividness effect can distort your perception of events because it can have a lot of contradictory evidence. And as awful as this sounds, like if a concert were to be bombed or like had a mass shooting, people are then terrified to go to another huge concert because they fear that it'll happen. Like even if you weren't at the first one, like they fear that it'll happen because it's such a crowded place, even though the chances of it actually happening to the concert that you're at is so slim. And then inductive reasoning is drawing conclusions from specific instances. Hasty generalizations is jumping to a conclusion from a single or handful of examples. So an example of hasty generalizations would be a friend telling you that a restaurant is not good and you not going there simply because the friend told you that the restaurant's not good, whereas it could have just been the food they didn't like, or like they didn't like the atmosphere, but you could have loved it and you would never know because you didn't go because they simply said that they didn't like it. So people need to stop making hasty generalizations because everyone's different and has their own opinions.